I'll share my screen. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, okay.
Okay. I have done some design changes for the same file I have created last day. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it modular. I'm going to create components and also we are going to start with our Redux. So what I am planning to do is, here we have this add section, an input, a select input, and add button. That is our add section. I'm thinking of making that as a separate component, and this list as a separate component. So my code will be modular and manageable. And also I can reuse those components. Say for edit also, I want an input and a select input and a button. So for that also, I can use the same component so that I'm going to make that as a separate component. And also, for our app, we are going to use endpoints from this sample dummy JSON, this side. So I'm going to use the same structure for my component creation and editing and all. So I'm going to copy this. We are already using some data for our design. I'm going to remove that and use the exact same structure as given in this endpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another file called dummy.json inside my store and paste my dummy data inside that. So dummy data.js const employee data equals, this is going to be an array. So and yeah, this is my to do this thing. So I'm going to copy this, and inside to do also I'm going to paste this, and to do equals data. I'm going to paste this objects multiple times so I can use that in my file. So this is done, and I'm going to export this. Export. Instead, okay, to do. All good. And export. I'm also going to use employee user data from here for my employee page. So I'm going to use the same structure. I'll get this data. And copy there multiple times. Oh, there is some error. Why is that? Don't I have, come on, I have it. Not sure this error is. Okay, there's an error in this data, so to remove this. All good. And I'm going to use this data there. So I'll import this in my to-do page. I'm going to remove this this array and import from store dummy data to-do and dummy data. Okay. For instead of this, I'm going to map this. Let me remove this one. So inside my to-do array, let me check whether I have to-do. I think I have used another name for my to-do description. So let me, okay, here's my to-do. Okay, here I'll use the same name. And here I'm giving as employee ID. There I have user ID. I'll copy that and paste here. So what I'm planning to do is, instead of ID, I'm thinking of giving name. So this is I iterating here. So I want to give the name of the employee. For that, what I can do is, I want to find the employee's name from my employee data. So I'll import my employee data here. That is employee, and I want to find that data. So inside my to-do, now the return statement is going to help me. I'll show how to do that. I'll open a curly bracket and put a return here and close curly brackets here. And inside this, I'm going to write my code to find the employee name. So inside this, I have the access of the specific to-do item. So I can get the to-do item and the user ID that is related to the to-do item inside this. And now here uh, I can get my uh, employee list and find that user ID inside that employee list. So const user details equals to, I have my employee list dot find and employee dot, let me check in my employee data. The ID is given in the name of ID, so I'll use ID. ID equals to do dot user ID. Yeah, using as user ID. So this will return me this user ID's details, user details. So I have these details now. So now what I can do is, from this user details, I'm going to print. I have first name and last name, so I'll use the both names. So user details dot first name, and also I'm going to use the last name here. So that should give me, there is some error. Okay, can I read? It says undefined. Okay, I don't have a user with the user ID, with the specific user ID 26 inside my array. That's why it gives me error. To avoid this error, what I can do is, now I don't have any details inside this user ID. I can give null check, a question mark here. In this case, it will not return an array, but it will give an empty data. So in this case, what if I want to give fallback value, I can use this mark and user not found. So when there is no details here, this will be printed. So user not found is printed. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give 1 for everything. So I can get some details. So I'll give 1. Okay, I'm getting a first name and last name. So I have printed it here. So that is done. And also what I'm going to do is, in my home page, I have a list of employee name and task assigned. I'm going to go and edit that too. So employee page index. Okay, so I'll remove this data and import employee data. Okay, and for this I'll replace it. And I'm using employee temp name. I don't think I have this. I have first name and last name. So first name, I'm going to do the same thing here. Somehow I'll have details, so I don't need to worry much about the fallback value. So I'm going to give last name here, and I don't have to do count here. So let us check whether that works, and let us work on the to-do count. Okay, that works. So how to get the to-do count? In our to-do list array, we have the employee ID. So what we can do is, in our to-do list array, I'm going to find how many of this to-dos has user ID 1. So let me do that. Okay, for that I can use some, what's the better way? Okay, I can get the array and check the length. So what I'm going to do is, here also I'm going to use the curly brace and return statement, so that I can write my code inside that. So yeah, I have to close. Now I have my ID inside in this place. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the to-dos of this particular employee. So const to-dos to-dos of this employee or user is equals to, now I want to import the to-do also. So I'll copy and paste it there. To-do dot filter v dot user ID, what's the name, user ID, right? User ID equals m dot id dot id. So this will give the list of to-do item for this employee. I have to put array here, arrow here. So I'm going to print the length of this array. This filter will return an array, so I can check the length. So for here, I'm going to print dot length. Now that should give me the length. I have put 4 to-dos of user ID 1 only, so that's why it is printed. I'm going to change the to-do IDs. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, let us make separate components. I'm going to make this part as a separate component. So inside the to-do page, I'm going to put that component. I'll name that as add edit component because I'm going to use that for add and edit. Add edit.tsx. So here RFC. And I'm going to cut that part from here and paste it there. So input, I must cut this whole part. So yeah, and my added component is here. So I'll paste it here. Now I'm going to import this component to my to-do index page and use it there. This is exported as default, so import from add edit. Now here I'm going to use add edit. There is an error coming. What is the error? Can't resolve add edit. Why is that? Add edit is exporting. Okay. Not found error. It's not found error. I'm going to escape from here and start the project again. Maybe still the error is coming. Module not found, can't resolve. And did it. What is the issue? it is there. What is the issue? Can someone help me here? What is the issue? I did it. Can't resolve. I did it. Hmm. Issue here. I did it. Constant. Open. Okay. I'm going to try importing employee component. This way, then I may find out something. So to import, I should have this index as capital. So use it somewhere. So I'm going to import it in the index page and try to use that. Employee. Okay. Whether this works. Still it says until it is not found. That works. And what's the issue with update it? Maybe I'm going to change this index and see. I'm going to change the name of the file to as index capital and use it here. Okay, and there is another error because I changed the name of my file. That is in my router. So it seems like I have to use with small letters only, not capital letters. So I'm going to rename it again. Okay. And again it's defined but name can't resolve. Module not found. Okay, let us leave that for now. I'll check what is the issue with that and let you know guys later. So I'll create another component and try because to create separate component for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the components in another folder and use it. Once again, I'm going to try to add another component inside this folder and try once more and try the next way after this. Okay. Because I'm using TSX. Yeah, got it. I have created my project as not with template TypeScript. So I can't use TypeScript here. So that must be JSX. And now it should work. Okay, fine. Now that works. Okay. So this component is visible here. So what we are going to do now is we'll cut this list and put it in another component. So I'm going to create another component named to-do list list.jss, and I'm going to cut the whole part from here to here, and I'm going to create a component with RFCE and put it there. So here I have to import some files. I don't need it there. So I'll cut this and paste it there. So all good here. So I'm going to use this component here and import it here. Now it must be okay, so all fine. So our component has become smaller. Normally, when we are coding the real system, we'll if one file goes longer than 300 lines, we will somehow make it modular. If 300, that is kind of acceptable. So that is manageable. That will be manageable. The code will be. So we'll keep it. So now what I'm going to do is I have to define my states and plan how I'm going to work here. So how this system is going to work is these data are going to reside inside my Redux state. So when I am adding something, I'm going to add it to my Redux state. So that will be printed in my to-do list component. So I can see that. So when I'm editing it, I'm going to update my Redux state, and when I'm deleting, I'm going to remove that from my Redux state. Even though I'm going to manage all my list in Redux state, to add, edit and delete, I also want to use the component state too. So let's see how we are going to use that. First, I'll start with add. So let me go to add edit component, and I'm going to introduce this component state with the use effect hook const for my input. What I'm going to do is when I am editing my input, I'm going to update that specific state. So when I am clicking on my add button, I can update my Redux. I'm going to update my Redux when I am clicking on the buttons only, but sorry, these buttons only, not when I am writing something or selecting something or checking something. So when I'm clicking on the button, I should have my details in some place, so that only I'm going to use the component state. So for my input type text, I'm going to use a state, and for my select, I'm going to use a state. So I'll name this as to do item, and use state will have a variable and a function. So set to do item and use state, and initial value is going to be, for now I'm considering only add component, so I'll just put empty for now. We'll check how we are going to handle that when we are editing it. So one and second, select value. Let's select value. My value is going to be an object, so I'll put an empty object for now. Here I'm going to give on change, and I'm going to set my to do item variable when I am changing it. So here I'll get an element. Okay. Element here, element dot target dot value. This will give whatever I'm typing inside my input. So this will set my set whatever I'm typing to this variable. So I'm going to give this as a value to this input. For select, I didn't give my options yet. Let me give my options. I'll give an empty option at the beginning. Option, I'll give value as empty, and I'll put a placeholder here. Select employee, and I'm going to give more options. These options are going to give me employee names. So I have my employee details in my array, so I'm going to import that employee array. So employee, and I'm going to use that in my options. So employee dot map, here I'm going to give my options, and for value I'm going to use employee ID, e.id, and here I'm going to use first name and last name. So e dot first name, and also e dot last name. So all good. This select should give all employee names. So let me go and check whether that works fine. Yeah, for now I have given only this name, so it gives all employee names. And here also I'm going to use on change, and sorry, not here, inside this on change, I'm going to change the value of this. So here element dot target dot value. Oh, sorry. Okay, this should do the work, and I'm going to give the value, selected value. Here, what I have to do is, if selected value equals this same value, I have to mark this as selected. So selected equals selected value. I'm checking whether this is equals to e.id. I think it will be an ID, not an object. I'm going to give this as a null state, and I'm going to check what is the value I'm getting when I'm changing it. So I'm going to do this, and let me go to my console, and for now this is undefined. When I'm selecting, yeah, this is giving me ID. So I'll keep my initial state as undefined, so that works fine for me. Now that is fine. Selected value works for me, and it gives fun because all my data seems to be one. Let me just check. Didn't I change it? No, employee ID I didn't change. It's still one for everything. So that gives me one. Okay. All good there. And now when I'm adding it, I want to add it to Redux. So I'll go to my add component, add edit component, and here I'm going to give a function. I'm not really going to write the content of the function now, but I'll just give the name on click, and yeah, I'm going to give add to do, and I'm going to define this function here. Let me remove this console log. Cons to do equals the function, and this is empty function for now. So we have done with to do part. For edit part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a modal here, so that when I'm clicking on edit, a modal will appear, and inside the modal, I'm going to give the same component. So here I'm going to search for a modal here, modal, and okay, I have this much of packages to help me. I'll click 3 packages and check those details. So this model has this much of users, and package size is okay, and less issues. I can use this model. And so yeah, and it also uses another package named Andy. We are not really going to go into that package. So let me leave it because it seems a little complicated. It also uses some other package. So styled rate model, it seems to be something that is, yeah, style component, that is related to style component. So I'm going to not consider that too. So they have demo here. Let me check this one. This kind of model will work for me. So I'm going to add this model to my project. So let me check this much of users only. But seems like we can use it because the pure model. Yeah, this is the code they are giving. Seems it's simple. So I'm going to add this library to my to-do app and try to use it there. So I'll open another terminal and I'm going to use yarn and let it add. I'm going to paste this code and check whether that works. This has to come inside my added it. The list component. So to-do list. When I'm clicking on the edit, I want this model to open. But as of now, what I'm going to do is I'll just paste and try it and see whether this works as expected. So they are using a state. I have to add it and I'll import use state and let's check my code. Okay, I have to there's is open and okay, I'm going to give this as true. Okay, now it opens. I want the model to look a little different because here the close button is coming in this side. Let me check what are uh, the properties I'm giving. Close button position is there. So I'm going to check what are the other positions I can give to this model. So yeah, it's a string value place closing button under your model or inside header. And allowed option are header bottom. So I'm going to put as header and close button close. So let me, okay. It works well for me. So I also can design these buttons. I think I'll be able to customize those things if I check these values here, options here. For now, I'm not really going to customize this model. I'm just going to use this. So inside this model, I'm going to paste my add edit component to use for my edit. So footer. In this component, they are defining a footer, and inside footer, they are giving the needed buttons. And the content is coming here. So in here, I'm going to paste my edited component. So added it, and seems like it got important. So there is an issue here. My component is bigger than, but the width of this edited, sorry, the model is smaller. So I will be able to customize it. Let me check whether I have the options to here width. I can give width, so I'm going to give width here. Width equals, it says string. So let me give 600 px. I think that should do for me. This is not really okay. Why is that? So I'm going to give 1000. Okay, this is okay for me. So I'm going to leave this design as it is for now. I'm just going to change my header to edit to do. And I'm going to keep the cancel and save button as it is. If I click on cancel, it should close. Maybe I should give my state set model to false. So on close set model false, it says that, but still it is not closing. Yeah, here on click I have to on click. I'm going to set model to false, then it will close my model. So cancel, yeah, that closes. Now when I'm clicking on edit, I should open that model. Let me look into that, how to do. So I'm also going to make this as another component. So I'm going to cut this and put it into new file, edit model.jsx. So RAFCE, and I'm going to put it here. And also I have to bring these values there. So I'll cut them and cut this one. I'm not really going to cut this one, but I'm going to pass these values to the edit model component. Let's see why we are going to do that. So this is done, but we need set model and model to this component. So I'm going to pass that as properties. Model and set model. So this is done. If I import this component here, let me import it and import edit model from edit model. Now it will give me an error because I am not giving the properties which are needed to this component. So let me just check it. I'm getting error. So what I have to do is I have to pass these as property to that component. Now it works. Why did I put this state to this parent component and pass this to the child component? Can anyone tell that why this is done this way? That is because I also want to use this set model in my another list here, edit button. For this component also, I'm going to use the same state. So this is needed in our to-do list component and also the edit model component. So we are defining this state here and passing those values as properties to the other component. I'm getting an error here. That is gone. Okay, that is gone. So now what I'm going to do is when I'm clicking on edit, I'm going to open that model. So where this edit button on click, I'm going to set this. I'm going to give initial state as false for this. So it will be initially closed. But when I am clicking on the edit button, it will open. So let me check edit. Okay, when I'm closing it, okay, fine. So that is fine. I'm going to give a confirmation to my delete too. For that also, I'm going to use the same model to ask whether the person who is clicking this is sure whether to confirm. So that also I'm going to use the same model and give and design it. But I'm not really going to do that today. I want you guys to try that out and before you come to the next session. So I'll leave that for now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan how this edit function is going to work. Okay, when I'm clicking on it, the model is opening. All good. But I have to pass this line data to my model. How to do that? How can I do that? So for that, I'm going to use another state. What I'm planning is when I am clicking on the edit button, I'm going to set a state to that row details. And I'm going to use that state details inside my edit component. So I can retrieve those data to my component. So let me introduce another component state for that. Here, to do item details. And set to do item details. This is going to be an object. So on click edit, I'm going to set to do item details to this data, this to do data. So it is here. Let me check whether that works fine with the log. So on my console, if I log this one, now my object is empty. When I'm editing it, I'm getting the raw data inside my state. So that is all good. Now I'm going to pass this data to my edit model. So for that, that model has to receive it. Here I'm receiving this. And with this data, what I'm going to do is, I have my addEdit component. But that component doesn't have any initial data. For that, I'm going to do some modification for this component. I'm going to pass to do item detail here, but I'm going to pass this as a optional component. So I'll give an initial value as null. Okay. Now, if this to-do item detail has any data, that means the component is used for edit purpose. If this item details has any data, then I have to populate my input and select with those data. That is what I'm going to do now. So here for the value, I have a state. Now I'm going to use the use effect. So when this is loaded for the loaded, my use effect will work, and I'm going to use this set to do item and set the value of this item. So use effect I'm going to give an empty array and to do item. Okay, set to do item. For this, I'm going to pass to do item detail dot to do. The name of it is to do, right? So I'm going to pass that. Now let me check what is the error. Reading property of okay. Initial value is going to be null. So this gives me error because of that null. Cannot read properties of null. Okay. Why page not found is coming here to do. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to check whether this to do details has value. So I can pass it, but why am I getting this error? Page not found error. Okay, there was some issue. Okay, this question marks help me because I'm giving the initial detail as null. If that is null, I won't have a property for this object. When my to do when my addEdit component is used for my adding purpose, this will not have any data. So in that case, this doesn't has to work. So I'm going to also check whether this is null or whether this has a value. So for that, I'm going to use Boolean, and if this is null, it will give me false. So then after that, it will not work. If this is true, this function will work and is used for that. Okay. Now all good. Let me open edit. But I'm not getting any values inside my input. Let me debug what is the error. So I'm going to log this to do item and check. Let me close it. Edit. Still that is empty. Why is that? Let me check whether this use effect works. So let me console log here. And check whether this use effect runs after I open. So I'll clear this and edit. Use effect runs. Use effect is not running, sorry. So that only it is not working. So what I have to do is for my dependency array, I can give to do item details. Now let me check. Still there is not running. So what is the issue? Use effect is not running. That's why it's not running and I'm not getting any value. So what I can do is when I'm clicking on it, it is opening somehow, but use effect is not running. Why is that? Can anyone help me here? I've given a dependency. I'm going to console log this, whether this is retrieved here. So optional to do item details. To do items details still says null. That seems to be the issue here. So let me go to edit model and I'm not passing the value here. That is the issue. So I have to pass this here. And now my data is populated here. I also want to populate my data to this select. Now we are using the same component to add adding purpose and also editing purpose. But when adding the value of this input is empty, but when editing, it will take this raw data and populate inside my component inside this model. And also I have to change this button name as edit. Let me look into the select first. So I have the data. So let me go here, and also I'm going to set this value to do item detail dot use ID, right? User ID. This must work. Okay, that works fine. And also I'm going to change the add as edit. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether this has value. If this has value, I'm going to give this is ternary operator. I'm going to give edit. If not, I'm going to give add. So here add will be printed, but here edit will be printed. So that component is done. And here I'm going to also look into how we are going to do delete. For now, this delete selected is visible. What I'm going to do is, if I don't select any of this button uh, won't be visible. I don't want this button to be visible. But if I select at least one, then this will be visible. That is what I'm planning to do. The time is 8:15. Is it okay for you guys to continue with it? Can I get any answer? I'm thinking of completing only the component structure for today. I'll look into that, look into the Redux part next session. So I'll look into this checkbox and delete selector only. It will take another 10 minutes. Then I'll wind up.
Yeah, okay, actually. Then you can
Okay.
continue.
Yeah. So for this also, I'm going to introduce another state named selected items. So let me remove this and selected item. And I'm going to create this as an array. So initial value is going to be empty array. And when I'm clicking on checkbox, I'm going to add the value of the checkbox inside this array. If this uh, selected item is empty, then I'm not going to print out this delete selected. But if it has at least one value, I'm going to print that button. So let me do that part first. Select item, my delete button. Okay, I'm inside a delete component. I'm going to go outside of that. So here, delete selected must be the name. Delete selected must be here. Okay, sorry, I'm in to-do list. I have to go to index. So here, and let me import it. And here on click, first I'm going to hide it if that is empty. So I'm going to check whether this is empty dot length. If this is 0, then this Boolean function will give me false. If this is not false, I want to print out that element. So button input, and here I have to all good. So initial state is empty. So for initial state, it should not print out my delete selected, but there's some error. So let me check the selected item dot length must be 0 and Boolean is false. Okay. Sorry, not will not come, because if it is true only, I have to print that. So that is done. I also have hidden my search component, it seems. So I'll hide only the delete selected button. So I'm going to put that here. So all good. So my button is hidden. When I'm clicking on the checkbox, my checkbox is in list view. So I'm going to pass this to my list view. set selected item, to-do list. So here I'm going to receive it, and when I'm clicking on the checkbox on click, I'm going to set selected item as the ID. But I also want the initially previously selected values too. For that, what I can do is I'm going to pass the selected item. So from this variable, I'll get the previously selected values, and I'm going to spread that out first in my in my check in my function, and then I'm going to add this to-do dot ID. Do I have an ID inside my to-do array? Yes. So I'm going to add to-do dot ID. That should work now, but I'll click this. Now it works. But what the thing is, when I'm unclicking it, it's not doing anything. So when I'm unclicking it, I have to remove my ID from this array. So for that, what I can do is I'm going to check whether this property already has my ID. If it already has my ID, then I'm going to remove it, or else I'm going to add it. So let me put a curly brackets here and introduce a variable called cons cons select already selected equals selected item dot find is dot this is going to be is equals to-do.id. This will give me whether I already checked this. So if already selected, I'm going to remove, else I'm going to add. So in this case, I'm going to filter out already this ID from my array. So I'll write here set selected item inside an array. I'm going to filter out the value. I'm going to introduce another variable for this. So filtered value equals dot. I'm going to spread it out inside another array. So dot filter and s dot id not equals to to-do.id. So this is filtered value. I'm going to give this here, else this is going to work. So some error here, okay, not equals. Now this should work good. So let me click on it there, Okay, let me click on it and unclick. Unclick is still not working. What is the issue? Let me print it out and check what's the issue. So here, already selected. Let me also check, print it out, print this here, filtered value. Okay, so let me check that on my console. Okay. If I click on it, already selected. Okay, undefined. Now already selected is 1. So I have to give Boolean value for this. Sorry, yeah, Boolean value for this. So Boolean already selected works fine. Let me also check whether my filtered value works good. So this was filtered value is not working fine. So selected item dot filter s dot id not equals to do dot id. It must work. What is the issue here? Not equals to do dot id. S dot id. Both are IDs, right? Yes. Filtered value. Sorry, it's not ID, right? Because we are giving S just one value. So S not equals to dot ID. So this should work. Okay, now that works well. If we remove it, it goes away. So we have created our components. Next time, we are going to look into our Redux state. So we are going to plan our Redux structure and start working with it. So I'll bind up my session with this. So Varsha, over to you.
Thank you, Aki, for the session today. As she requested, we kindly request the participants to self-learn as well and also practice the things discussed today. And let's meet in our next session. Good night. Bye.
Good night.